What's going on, guys? It is Draco in here, and we are back with another NFL predictions video. We are predicting the most notable thing that will happen to every NFL team during the 2023 to 2024 NFL season. Let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that they will make it to their I believe it's fifth straight NFC Championship game with Patrick Mahomes as quarterback. Like, this team is just unstoppable. Like, even last year after they got worse, they still won the Super Bowl. Like, it's crazy what Mahomes and Andy Reid can do together. Next up, we got the Miami Dolphins. I have them winning the AFC East. Like they're getting much better, and the Bills are getting much worse. I think that the Dolphins just have the best roster to be able to win that division. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I believe that the Jaguars are not only going to win the AFC South, but have at least 12 wins. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans. They are on a complete opposite spectrum of the Jaguars, because I believe that they will have to make a mid-season trade for quarterback because they have nobody else that can start. I believe that Tannehill is going to be below average. I think he's going to be worse than he was. He's either going to be worse or he's going to get injured. And I think that Malik Willis will be below average. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. And I believe that Joe Burrow will be an MVP candidate along with Jamar Chase. I think that both of them are going to be MVP candidates during this season. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. And I believe that Lamar will eventually go back to playing for the Ravens. Nobody wants him. I don't know why, but nobody wants him, and I think it's because of injury concerns. I think that's because he just keeps getting injured, and he's just going to have to settle for a pay cut, because at this rate, it's going to be like August 1st, and he's still going to be available. And it's either that or sitting out, and I don't think he sits out. Next up, we got the New England Patriots. I believe that they will unsurprisingly be last in the AFC East. I think that I don't know if Mac's going to be traded, but I do feel like he's going to be the worst quarterback in the division, and that they will be last in the East for the first time in literally my entire life. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers. These guys are going to be your NFC champions. I think that the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl whether they have Purdy or not. Their defense is elite. Their running game is elite. And hell, Sam Darnold might be the guy that leads them to the Super Bowl. But no matter who's starting, I think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to be your NFC champions. Next up, we have the Jets. And I believe that Aaron Rodgers actually looks worse in New York than he did in Green Bay last year. I think that he's going to look worse, and the defense is going to save them from being last in the division. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears. I think this is a bold prediction, but I have them winning the NFC North. I think that their offense is just going to be amazing. Their defense is going to be a little rusty, but I think that their offense is going to be that powerful to be able to power them through. They have Justin Fields, who I believe will have his best season yet, and they have a new weapon in DJ Moore. So, yeah, Chicago is winning this division. Next up, we have the Houston Texans. I believe that whichever rookie quarterback they take will struggle in his first season. Yeah, that's kind of a lame prediction, but okay, I'll give you a better prediction. I think that I think that Derek Stingley Jr. will be a much better corner this year and be in the conversation for top 10 corners in the league. Next up, we got the Eagles. And my prediction is that I believe even after they are still so bad, they will still make the playoffs and win a playoff game. But they won't win the division. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints. I have them maxing out at 5 wins. Like, I'm sorry for Saints fans, but I just don't have a lot of hope in your roster other than Jamal Williams. I think that he is easily going to be your MVP for this season. And yeah, you have Olave, but I just think that Olave is kind of going to have a sophomore slump. That's just how I'm feeling for this. And Michael Thomas is probably going to get hurt again. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys released him. And I'm not just saying that as a Panthers fan. I would say that as any other fan, too. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions. And I believe that their defense will go from being one of the worst in the league to being a top 5 defense in the league. They've signed so many guys this year. A lot of the players on their defense are rookies from last year that still performed above average for rookies, and I believe they're only getting better. Like Aiden Hutchinson, like Kirby Joseph, like James Houston. I think that they're all going to be, honestly, could all be elite status this year. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe that the Cardinals will max out at maybe 4 wins. Like, there's no way that the Cardinals are going to be good this year at all. Kyler's going to be out for most of the season, but yeah, I just don't see a lot of hope in Arizona at all. The only hope that I see is that you guys get a good defender in the draft and that he performs at least decently. Like, you guys are on the tank right now. Next up, we have the LA Chargers, and I believe that this prediction is probably going to be very harsh to Chargers fans, but I believe you are going to have the worst defense in the league. Like your offense is in good shape with Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, those guys. They're all still there. But the defense just looks to be regressing a lot. Like, Jackson missed most of last year, and I think that he's still going to be feeling that injury. There's Joey Bosa. He was out for a lot of games last year too. And just that entire defensive line is just not going to be that good. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings, and I believe that they will trade Dalvin Cook before the season. I think that they will find a way to get Dalvin Cook out of Minnesota. They obviously don't need him there anymore. They restructured Madison's contract. I think that they're just going to hand the backfield over to Madison and send Dalvin Cook somewhere else. It could be in the draft, honestly. I feel like it could be in the draft. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think that the Raiders do not take a quarterback in round 1. I think that the Raiders take a corner instead. I think they're not as QB needy as people think they are. Yeah, their starter is Jimmy Garoppolo right now, but I think that they wait until the later rounds and possibly pick up Hendon Hooker in the second. They have an early enough pick in the second to take Hooker and sit him behind Jimmy G for a little bit until he can until he can start when they don't have Josh McDaniels. That's what I was really leading to. Like, I do not think that they should be starting a rookie quarterback with Josh McDaniels. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams, and my prediction is that Aaron Donald will request a trade at some point in the season. Like, that's probably super hard to believe, but Aaron Donald is basically the only good guy on that defense anymore now that they don't have Jalen Ramsey, and I think that he's going to get upset with the Rams organization and request a trade. Next up, we have the Panthers, and I believe that they will have the best rookie quarterback of this class by far. Like, from what I'm hearing, they're basically set on Bryce Young, so I'm kind of just preparing for him to be called, but they have the perfect offense to help a quarterback. They have a perfect coach to help out a rookie quarterback. Like, their coaching staff and their offense combined are going to be so beneficial for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whichever one they take. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos, and my prediction is simply that they're going to have a winning season. I think that Russ is going to have a redemption year, and Sean Payton is really going to ignite that fire that is in Russell Wilson, and he will go back to the Seattle like Russell Wilson. I don't think he'll be an MVP candidate, but I think that he will have a career resurgence. Who knows? He could be comeback player of the year. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks, and I believe that they're going to make the playoffs again. They're making great moves in free agency. Like, they got Julian Love. That's honestly one of the most underrated signings of the entire offseason, in my opinion, so far. They got Bobby Wagner back. They have a top 5 pick in the draft that they're going to use, hopefully on defense. And Geno Smith is having a great career revival there. So, yeah, I think that Seattle manages to make their way into the playoffs again. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys. These are my NFC East champions in my book. I think that they will outclass the Philadelphia Eagles this year and will be NFC champions. They don't have Zeke anymore, and I feel like Zeke was holding them back a little bit. Zeke was getting too much playing time, and Tony Pollard will get more playing time, and he was the better running back ever since he was drafted, pretty much. So, yeah, the Cowboys will win the division. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I also have them making the playoffs. This might be a huge shocker to a lot of people, but Mike Tomlin is always in contention. And George Pickens and Kenny Pickett are only going to get better. I don't know. These guys are sleepers for a playoff spot next year. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers, and I believe that Jordan Love will be really good. I think that he won't be an MVP candidate, he won't be an MVP candidate like who did I say it was before? Russell Wilson. But I think that the Packers will still manage to unlock Jordan Love's potential, especially with Christian Watson as his main receiver. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders, and I have Sam Howell being a good quarterback. I think that Sam Howell ends up being a reliable starting quarterback in Washington. I think that he was really good in the preseason last year. He was really good in his one start against the Cowboys starters who made it to the divisional round of the playoffs last year and were fighting for the NFC East crown. So, yeah, I think that Sam Howell is just going to take the next step, and he is going to be a good quarterback. I don't have Washington making the playoffs because of him, but I think that they get a minimum of 8 wins. I think that they get within the 8 or 9 win range. Next up, we have the New York Giants, and I have Daniel Jones getting, let's say, 25 touchdowns. And at least 10 of those will be on the ground. I think that he will look like a great rusher like he was in the wild card round last year. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this might be a little bit of a bold prediction to some people, but I have them finishing with the worst record in the NFL. I think that without Tom Brady, they are going to be garbage. Yeah, Mike Evans is still there. Yeah, Vita Vea is still there. They still have some people there that could help them go basically winless this season, but I think it's just going to be because of them. Like, I think that Mike Evans will have 1 or 2 weeks where he'll just go off with Baker Mayfield. But other than that, the Bucs are going to be terrible, and they're going to tank for Caleb Williams. So, yeah, Tampa Bay will finish with the worst record in the league next year. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons, and I have them being the opposite. I have them winning the NFC South next year. I think that the Falcons will, like, that division honestly isn't good, even with the Panthers, but it's going to be better than last year. It's going to be much better than last year, and I think that the Falcons are the team that's improving the most. Like, Carolina is setting its entire team to help their rookie quarterback. The Bucs are tanking, like I said, and the Saints are just not going to be good in general. But the Falcons, they're the only team that's like preparing well for next year, especially with their defense. So as long as Ritter isn't straight up garbage, I think that the Falcons will win this division pretty easily. And even if he is garbage, they have Taylor Heineke there. Next up, we have the Bills, and I have Josh regressing a bit from last season. I think that Josh Allen will have one of the worst seasons of his career, honestly. Now, I don't know if this is true, what I'm hearing about Stephon Diggs wanting to leave the Bills, but I'm not believing it. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns, and I believe that Deshaun Watson will look terrible in his first full season as a Brown. I think that he will be much below expectations, and the Browns will get maybe a max of 7 wins, just because of their defense and Nick Chubb. And the last team I have on here is the Indianapolis Colts, and I don't really know what to say about them, but I feel like Shane Steichen is going to be a better head coach than Jeff Saturday was last year. But he's that's not saying much at all, but I really don't know what else to say for the Colts. I guess that Jonathan Taylor comes back. I don't think, but that's not much of a bold prediction in my opinion. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and leave a like on the video if you want to see more NFL stuff like this. I don't know what else to say. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.